Hello again and welcome to another edition of Southern Country. Hi, I'm Herb Southern and welcome to the show, my friends. Today we're in Hellerstown, Pennsylvania at the Lost River Caverns. And on my side here, we have Elizabeth. How you doing?
Hi, Herb. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Welcome to the show. And on this side, we have Pauline.
Hi, Herb. It's great to be back.
And next to me, we have Bob. You're the owner, the manager, and the man that makes it all work.
Well, that's part of my job description, yes.
Okay. Tell us what we expect to see when we walk in there.
Well, you're going to see a historic collection of antique firearms that my family's collected over the last 8 decades. And we also have a lot of natural history specimens, rocks, minerals, gems from all over the world. There's an indoor tropical garden. And that's not even before we get into the cave. Which we, of course, have in natural limestone caverns. And just in case you're wondering what you need to wear on a tour of the cave, bring along a jacket and some good walking shoes because you're going to be walking underground for about 30 to 45 minutes in naturally air-conditioned 52-degree temperature.
I'm ready to go with my jacket. Elizabeth?
I'm ready to go too, and then afterwards I know there's some mining, there's a hiking trail, and there's a picnic area as well.
Pauline?
I am looking forward to all of it, sister, and I will go grab my jacket.
All right, Bob, behind us is the entrance to the caverns, and it looks pretty scary down there and also exciting. So we're looking forward to our guided tour. Thank you.
Okay. Well, let me just start out with saying that anything that you're going to be afraid of, you brought with you.
All right. Thank you. I'll just cling onto your arm. How about that?
Okay. Well, let me just tell you a little bit about the place. It was discovered in 1883 by some limestone quarrymen that were mining limestone in what today is our parking area just out in front of the building. And they had dug into the side of this hill and accidentally dug into the side of the limestone caverns, which is what we're going to be entering in just a moment. This was in 1883, and then in 1930 my grandparents opened the cave to the public, and that's when we began taking tours. He put the electric lighting in the caverns, the walkways, the handrails, and we began Memorial Day weekend, 1930. And 86 years later, we're still here.
All right. Well, guess what? I'm ready for my tour.
All right.
All right. Here we go.
All right, Bob and I are now in the black light room, and Bob's going to explain to us some of the geology of this room. We've got some interesting lights behind us, and when you come back, when you come visit here, that's when you get to see the magic. But I know that this cave started forming over 250,000 years ago. So tell us a little bit about the geology.
Right. Well, the rock that we have surrounding us throughout just about all the tour, it's a sedimentary rock. And it's limestone, and this had originally formed on sea bottom, and that was about 500 million years ago. So, yeah, 500 million years ago.
Okay, so not 500,000, 500 million.
Now, that's just when the rock formed, not the cave. The
Okay.
cave came along a little later, and that, as you mentioned, about 250,000 years ago. And that's when the water, and this would be rainwater or what's more correctly termed groundwater, the water would seep into the rock and then gradually start to dissolve away the limestone to create these passageways and chambers that we're walking through. And what we have as far as the openings today is the result of water just slowly seeping and dissolving the rock away. It wasn't due to a gush of water. It's a very, very gentle process of water seeping in and gradually dissolving away the rock and creating the openings that we have. Now that became the channel for what today is the Lost River. We're going to see that a little bit later on the tour of the caverns. There's an actual stream that flows through here.
All right, we're now here in the Crystal Chapel, and Bob's going to tell us a little bit about the history of this room.
This was first used in 1889 as a dance hall. And back at that time, this room had a wooden floor that was built up about 4 feet above this floor that we have today. And also, although you can't see this, but up on the other side of the room was where the bandstand was, where the musicians would play the music for the dancers down here. I know it does seem a little unusual, but you have to remember, what did you do for entertainment back in 1889? Now, dancing was a popular form of entertainment, often carried out in someone's barn, but barns weren't heated or air conditioned. So on a hot summer day, this would be a wonderful place to come dance. And they could use it in the winter because the temperature remains a constant 52 degrees year-round. So although we may not consider 52 degrees to be the warmest of indoor temperatures back in 1889, they didn't have very good heating systems. So on a cold winter day, 52 was probably considered a very tolerable and comfortable indoor temperature.
Now, Bob, there were also weddings held down here, right? And then
That's-
I think you know the people that were here for the first wedding.
Right. In 1949 is the first wedding that was performed here in the Crystal Chapel, and that was my parents. They got married here, and I later got married here when I got married a number of years later.
That's wonderful. Okay, so we are going to head to the next room. All right, Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing over here, and then you also have the largest one that you're going to show us as well, the largest formation.
Okay. Yeah, the formations that we're looking at over here are probably the most well-known of cave formations, the stalactite, which is a pointy formation growing down from the ceiling, or you'll see stalagmites growing up from the floor. Now in this room we happen to have the largest stalactite in the caverns, and that's right up here in the ceiling. That's called the ear of corn. That's the largest stalactite that we have down here.
All right, I think I know why it's called the ear of corn, because it looks like a ear of corn.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, we're going to keep walking.
Actually, below us is the entrance to the Queen's Room, which Sam, at the entrance to the whole cavern, shared with me, Bob. And I am very intrigued to get into the Queen's Room. What are the chances?
Today, not happening.
Not happening. Why? We came on this grand tour, and we're not getting into the Queen's Room?
Well-
Please tell us more.
Well, you know, the Queen's Room is royalty, and we're just not invited guests, so we're not going to be able to get to see it. But in the true history of this room, back in 1963, this was discovered, and there was a drought at the time. The water levels had dropped. The river, for the most part, had ceased flowing through here. And it was my father that went down through this opening. Now, normally this would be completely underwater, but there was just enough airspace between the water and the ceiling of the connecting passageway. It was about roughly a foot of airspace there, and he was up to his neck almost in water and then waded back. And then you do come up into a chamber, and the chamber is approximately 6 feet wide, 12 feet high, and it's about 60 feet long. But the only way to get into that today would be totally underwater, and you'd really want to have a wetsuit or maybe even a dry suit, because that water is 52 degrees. It is cold.
So I was going to ask you about the water temperature. It is 52, as you just noted. So obviously there are no chances of us entering the Queen's Room today.
No,
What a
you-
shame.
You didn't bring your scuba equipment with you. But even if you did, I want to go on record as saying, don't show up with your scuba equipment. We're not going to take you in there either. So there's probably
Fair enough, fair
there's
enough.
probably scuba divers out there in your audience. So we want to
Okay.
be a little certain they don't get misdirected here.
Okay, well, we'll wait for the next drought.
All right, we are now in the new room, and Bob's going to explain to us why this is called the new room. But the new room is also the end of the tour. We've hit the end of the cave, and it's also the end of the Lost River, which, again, you said you don't know where it starts and you don't know where it ends.
Right, exactly.
So tell us about this new room.
Oh, this was added to the Caverns tour in 1932. Originally, this room had been similar to the Queen's Room, that the only access to it was underwater. And they were able to remove some of the rock that separated this room from the rest of the caverns and get this open to the public. Now, this rock that we're looking at in this section of the caverns is shale, and this differs from the rest of the caverns, which is made out of limestone. The shale doesn't have the calcium carbonate, which is a soluble mineral that the water can dissolve the rock away, and when it hits the shale, it's not able to do so, and that's why the caverns ends here. Although the river does manage to continue on, it doesn't stop here, but there are very small openings beyond here that we really can't fit through. They're just too small for a human body to maneuver. So that's the extent of our known caverns.
This is so interesting. So even though this might be the end of the trail underground here, we can go back up and there's a little bit more to look at. There's a gift shop up there, there's a museum, and there's a couple other things we'll share with you too.
Well, Bob, you did a great job in walking us through the mines.
Well, thank you. It's always a good idea. We bring people back that we take in there. We're here 362 days a year. We're open 9 to 5, Monday through Monday, and
Monday through Monday. Good. I like that. That's a cool.
or any of the days of the week that end in Y. That works
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Website?
Lostcave.com.
Okay. Very good. You did a great job. It's an incredible place to walk through. Oh, my God. Anybody gets a chance, it's Lost River Caverns in Hellerstown. It's the place to be, I'm telling you right now. Pauline, it's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. It was quite exciting.
Elizabeth?
Herb, thanks for having us again. Bob, I really enjoyed the adventure underground, and I'm looking forward to taking a look around here at the gift shop.
Let's take a look at the gift shop. Once again, Bob, thank you for taking time to walk us through the Lost River Caverns in Hellerstown.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.